Michael Williams, your island chef. Welcome to my kitchen. Today, we're going to be working on some delicious Caribbean flair. We're going to jump all around. You know, the signature flagship drink of the Caribbean, a little bit of Pina Colada. From there, we're going to go to Jamaica and get some jerk chicken happening. After that, jump over to Trinidad and work on some Callaloo. Callaloo, yeah, that's it. All right, all that's coming up on today's show. So to make a delicious Pina Colada, you need fresh pineapple. That's just the way to go. So in order to get the meat from our pineapple, we need to cut the skin off. And in order to get started on that, I like to just start by cutting the top and the bottom off, okay? Now, we take our knife and gradually just keep cutting. Now, I'll show you right here. Right there is kind of the line of where you make your next cut. I'm gonna do it over here because that's easier for me. I'm not left-handed, of course. I'd be going the other way if I was left-handed. But I'm just using these little guidelines as where to make my cut. And you just keep working your way around the pineapple. Probably just 2 more cuts here. There we go. So, once again, we'll tidy up here, get rid of our compost. And now we've gotten gotten the first task done. Now we just need to cut our pineapple into pieces. Now I was saying fresh is best. Now you could shortcut and use the canned as an option, quick and easy, really simple. What we actually need to do is freeze our pineapple once we've got it cut into chunks. So that's why that's done already. You've got the juice and the pineapple in one. But let's focus on this beautiful fresh pineapple that we have here right now. Now, my next step here, if you take a look at the top of this, you'll see the core. You can see it right there. So what I do is I just take my knife and I cut right beside the core, straight down, in hopes that we don't end up with any core in our pineapple there. So it's still right in the middle. Okay, you can see it's in there. Now I'll give it just a bit of a quarter turn there, and I'll do the next cut. And so on and so forth. You can see we've still got our core. We'll make another cut, and we'll be done. We've got enough here though to work with. We're just gonna cut this into chunks, like so. Okay, and that is gonna go onto a plate and then into the freezer. Now you might wanna put a piece of parchment paper down, make it easier to get the pineapple off afterwards, but we're just gonna roll with that. So now this needs to get frozen. Lucky for us, I've got some pineapple that already is frozen. So we'll just do a little switcheroo. Grab some juice, nice cold pineapple juice, frozen pineapple, and we're ready to make our Pina Colada. Now, while I was traveling around the Caribbean a while back, couldn't get enough of these things. Hot day, you're sweating, Pina Colada, perfect thing to cool you down. But you know what? It's great anytime. I love Pina Coladas. Super refreshing and tasty. All right, so let's start off with getting our pineapple in here, okay? And then we're gonna finish with a little bit of coconut milk, but get it started with the juice. What I wanna do here is I wanna make sure I get this pineapple nice and smooth. And then we'll finish it off with a little bit of coconut milk to get that coconut flavor. So let's get that going. All right, so let's get this pureed up, get it nice and smooth, and then we'll add the coconut cream to it. So depending on how thick you like it, you might want to add some ice at this stage. So let's do that. So I'm down with a thick Pina Colada, as I was saying. So we're gonna add the ice in. We're also gonna get some coconut milk in here. This is a really nice, thick, and creamy, super creamy coconut milk. So we're gonna get a little bit of the bottom stuff and a little bit of the top stuff. Okay, that should probably do the trick, and then we'll blend that up again. So So that seems to be nicely incorporated. And really, that's all there is to it. Super delicious pina colada. Now, if you wanted to turn this into a fantastic little in-between meal snack, add a little bit of vanilla protein powder into this and just turn it into a bit of a pina colada smoothie. That protein addition is perfect because we've already got some fruit, right? We've already got some great coconut milk for some nice healthy fats. Finish it off with a bit of protein in your styling. Right now, though, we're gonna have it just as is. So I gotta get a glass. And let's pour this up and see how it looks. Give it a taste. A lot of pina coladas will have sugar added to them. And for me, we've got our pineapple juice, we've got our fresh, beautiful pineapple. That's enough sugar as far as I'm concerned. So let's see just how sweet this is. That's perfect. So bang on. Love that. Takes me right back to Puerto Rico, let me tell you. Anyways, pina colada, that's how you do it. Coming up next, jerk chicken. All right, so we be jamming on some jerk chicken, okay? Jerk chicken, man, coming from Jamaica, man, like Bob Marley, man, okay? That's enough of that. But anyways, we're gonna get into the jerk chicken, all right? We've got all of these lovely ingredients that we're gonna puree in our blender and make a fantastic, robust, flavorful marinade to marinate this whole chicken here. We're also gonna cut that up into little pieces. I'm gonna show you how to do just all of that. So let's start off with the marinade. We'll get our blender jar here and let's just toss in some of these green onions. We'll just give our green onions here a rough chop. Of course, we don't want the bottoms, so we'll get rid of those, but we'll take the rest and we'll toss those right in. A few cloves of garlic we'll toss right in. About half of this onion will do just right. Cut the top and bottom off, cut it in half, makes it much easier to peel. Okay, we want a chunk of ginger, probably about like that. And depending on your level of heat, now you can use virtually any kind of hot chili. If you want it really mild, you could go with jalapenos. If you want spicy, habanero would be fairly traditional. Couldn't get my hands on any habanero, so I grabbed some Thai red chilies, which are also quite spicy. I'll probably just go with 2. Those are maybe these 2 big ones. How about that? That's gonna give it a really good kick. So, kind of customize your level of heat depending on the type of chilies you like. You know, jerk chicken is very traditionally a super spicy dish, but can't handle the spice, it doesn't mean you can't have jerk chicken. You could just skip the chilies altogether or go with some jalapenos like I suggested, nice and mild. Sticking with the heat here, so let's get this finished off. A couple tablespoons of good quality soy sauce. A couple tablespoons of honey. It's nice to balance the heat out with a little bit of sweetness. And then all we need is some allspice. About a tablespoon of this as well. And if you wanted to, you could add a little bit of nutmeg in. That's an option. Let's get this pureed up. Oh, let's not forget the olive oil. So we want a couple tablespoons of that as well. Now, had I forgotten that, you know, maybe the chicken would have stuck on the grill a little bit more. And it just adds a nice kind of flavor to it. So we got our oil in there now. Everything's in there. Let's blend this up. So about 30 seconds or so to get that nicely pureed and incorporated. Depending on your blender, you may need to start and stop a couple of times to get everything kind of firing into the path of the blade. Now, got some nice kind of, you know, centrifugal action going on here. Food processor is another option as well. So, you know, some blenders might not be able to cut it. Food processor might be a better tool. So depending on what you have, work with what you got. Now, our marinade here, it's ready. It's ready for action. All we need to do now is get us some chicken ready to marinate. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna dissect this whole bird, okay? Let's get into it. So, it's time to cut this up. I like to use my really big chef knife to do this. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna make my first cut, and there's a little backbone in here. And I'm gonna make my cut on one side of the backbone, okay? So in goes my knife, and it kind of pokes out the end here. I get it all the way through the chicken first before I make my cut. Right now I'm on the right side of the backbone. And then just chop right through, okay? Then I flip it over. We've cut through the back of it. Now we're gonna cut right through the middle of the breast. Okay, and that gives us 2 halves. I like to remove the backbone completely. So we've got the whole backbone here. It's not on this side of the chicken, but it is on this side. You need a little bit of muscle on it. We'll save that for the doggy. And then what we're gonna do is there's a join between the breast and the leg here. So we wanna get that skin cut so we can peel it apart a little bit and see where that natural break is. You see how I just kind of did that in sections? Probably, don't need the big knife anymore, but I've got it, so I'm gonna continue with it. We're gonna separate the leg and the thigh. There's a sweet spot, you'll find it, it's right there. And we'll take the wing off of the breast. Okay, actually, yeah, we'll just leave that like that. Now, I'm gonna do the same thing over here, but before I go any further, I'm gonna put a couple scores into our meat here, which is gonna give more surface area for our marinade. All right, so let's do that again. Now, I'd like to point out that, once you get the chicken cut in half, you probably don't need the big knife anymore. If you have a big knife and you're using it, at this point you can switch to a smaller, like regular chef knife, or even a boning knife, or even a paring knife for that matter. But we'll start off once again by separating our legs and thighs from our breast, okay? Now, once you cut the leg from the thigh, there is a little knuckle in here. And if you know exactly where it is, it's really easy to cut through it. So if you're cutting through it and you're kind of hitting a bone, try moving over a little bit. And you'll find the sweet spot because it's so much easier. You just end up cutting right through the cartilage instead of having to cut through the bone. Well, let's give those guys a little bit of a score. Let that marinade get under the skin. Okay, and then the wing comes right off the breast as well. Same thing, once you find that sweet spot, it's so much easier. And then this is now ready to be marinated. All right, so let's get the chicken in the bag. This hand is relatively clean. We'll get that bag open, get the chicken in. At this stage, you want to keep the raw chicken inside the bag, if at all possible, Keep the outside of the bag as clean as you can. Okay, and we're saving that for the doggy. So now I'm gonna wash up. We'll just take all of this. So obviously important to do a good wash after handling the chicken like that. Now, our chicken is ready to go. Our marinade is ready to go. So let's get our marinade in with our chicken. All right, so just dump it right in the bag. So you'll probably need a spatula to get the last drops of that marinade out. So just get as much as you can out of there. And now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna flatten this out. We wanna get as much air out of the bag as we can. Okay, and then seal it. Make sure that you've got a good seal, and then start working it. You wanna get that massage massaged in. Work the chicken around so that it's evenly distributed all through the bag, all over the chicken. So that is looking happy. And now we play the waiting game. 12 to 24 hours, all right? This needs to sit in the fridge, of course, for 12 to 24 hours, and then we'll be ready to cook. It just so happens I've got one ready to go that's been sitting in my meat drawer all night. And this is gonna go onto the barbecue. We're gonna roast it slow. 300, 325. I've got a little thermometer on my barbecue so I know how hot it is. And I'm gonna have them sitting on the indirect heat. So you turn one side of your barbecue on and the other side off. Once the barbecue's nice and hot, the chicken goes on the off side, okay? If you can, if you've got one of those little smoker wood chip boxes, that's the best way to do it. That's the traditional way, you know, and they smoke action, that gets you the real jerk chicken. But if you can't, that's okay. It turns out great anyways. So this is onto the barbecue, and we'll be on to our next recipe, Callaloo. All right, we got rice underway. Gonna go perfectly with our Callaloo. Now you might be asking yourself, what's Callaloo? Because I didn't know what Callaloo was before I knew what Callaloo was, but now I know what Callaloo is. So I'm gonna tell you what Callaloo is. It's basically like creamed spinach, okay? But instead of just spinach and whipped cream and some this and that and this and the other, we're gonna actually do coconut milk, spinach, put a little bit of spice, some onions and garlic. Fantastic, really nice, goes great with the jerk chicken. Let's get into it. We need some onions chopped up. So let's just get these diced. This half an onion here. Get it diced. And what we'll do, in my research, I kind of discovered that Callaloo is quite often just all thrown together in the pot and just stewed, basically. But I thought it would be nice to just saute off the onions a little bit, the onions and the garlic and the chilies. Okay, so we've got our onions ready to go here. Maybe we'll get those in the pot. All right, so we got some coconut oil here. Get our onions going. And then we'll just head right back to the cutting board and chop up our garlic and chilies. All right, so let's get some garlic going here. A couple of cloves will do the trick. Wow, look at that, that's a big one. One of those guys will do the trick. Now that's, you know, maybe brings a point to some of you. So you have to use your judgment sometimes. You know, the recipe says 2 cloves of garlic, but this clove is obviously huge, so it's worth 2. You can do the math. So we're just gonna kind of chop those up roughly. We're gonna go back to the red chilies. And, you know, once again, if you don't like the heat, then don't use them. Or go with a milder version. And we'll get those in the pot. Those can go right in. Give everything a stir. I'm just looking to gain a little bit of flavor, add a little bit of color, not too much. And then we're gonna add our coconut milk in and bring it to a simmer. In the meantime, we'll wash up our spinach and get it ready to go in. Now we'll tidy this up, and I'm gonna be really careful here, but I don't want to touch my eyes or anything on my face right now because I was handling those chilies a little bit. Just want to throw that out there. Now, take note. We've got a little cooking tip for you here. Check out this bunch of spinach. Everything's all lined up nicely. We've got our leaves up here and our stems down here. We don't want our stems, but we do want our leaves, so we're just going to go like that. Okay? And then what you're left with, you know, maybe just have to pick out the odd stem here and there, and we're good to go. So we do need to wash this, mind you. So I'm just going to give this a quick chop, like so. If you notice any stems that need to be removed, go ahead. Now just before we get our spinach washed up, it's time to get our coconut milk into our pot here and starting it under simmer, trying to get it up to a simmer. Okay, so there we go. We'll dump that whole can in. Good. Now let's get that spinach washed. I'm having a bit of a hard time saying that. You try and say it. Spinach. Let's go get that spinach washed. Okay, I'm getting it now. Yeah, spinach. I was saying spinach before. Did you hear that? It wasn't just me, was it? You try. Okay. So let's get our spinach washed. There we go. It's all chopped up now. Handy dandy food vegetable salad spinner here. We're just gonna wash the leaves really well and then spin them dry. So spinach you wanna wash really well when it comes in the bunch like that. Quite often it'll have big hunks of dirt on it or whatever, so do a really good job. I don't know if you've noticed those bags of the pre-washed spinach, but they say it's triple washed. And that's for a reason. All right, that should do the trick. Let's get this in. So we'll just whip that dry. And then we'll just dump it right in. Now it might seem like it's not all gonna fit. And that's what you want. You really want to load the pan up, and what happens is pot I should say. What happens is it softens up and wilts, it, shrinks. Think about sauteing a bunch of spinach. It goes down by 200% or more. All right, so we're gonna let this simmer away for about 20 to 30 minutes. Let it concentrate a little bit. Let's just season it up a little. Touch of salt and a little bit of paprika, in fact. And what we'll do, now, 1 second, this quite often, the callaloo is actually like a meat addition to it. So you'll either start off with some bacon or kind of stew some other kind of meats in with it, or even seafood. There's lots of versions of callaloo. We're just doing a vegetarian version. About 20 minutes or so, that's going to be ready to go with our jerk chicken. Everything's going to come together beautifully coming up. So callaloo, ready to go. Just going to chop it up a little bit with our immersion blender. Just a little bit, not too much. All right, it's all come together beautifully. Check it out. We've got our beautiful jerk chicken finished off nicely on the grill, on the barbecue. So about 30 to 45 minutes. The chicken wings are about 30 minutes. All the rest was a little bit closer to 45. Trying to keep that temperature between 300 and 325 is perfect. Then just at the end, I fire it up and get a little bit of caramelization and some grill happening. You saw how our callaloo finished up? Just pureeing it with the immersion blender is an option. You don't need to do it like that. Why don't we do up a little plate here? I'll show you just what it looks like. All right, let's throw it all together. Get a little bit of rice here, some chicken, love the chicken wings and the thighs, oh baby. Okay, grilled pineapple, nice little garnish. So we'll just grab a scoop of this callaloo and drizzle it over top of our rice. You might have been wondering what we were gonna do with it. You can either eat it by itself or do just that. I'm going to start off with a little taste of this. Oh, that's so good. That coconut milk really adds a nice creaminess. Spinach, fantastic way to enjoy spinach. You could also use kale or other greens. There's several greens that are used in a traditional callaloo, so let's see what this jerk chicken is doing. That's probably my favorite chicken in the world. I really encourage you to give these recipes a try. We've covered 3 today. We started off with the classic Pina Colada. From there, we worked on to the marinade of our chicken, which was the jerk chicken marinade. Cooked that on the barbecue. Finished it off with a delicious callaloo. It all came together so beautifully. All the recipes, countrygrocer.com. They're all there for you, along with hundreds of others. Thanks for being with us, and see you next time.